Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of the most important lessons in all of filmmaking: how you can stop telling a story with words and really start showing it with a camera.
And yeah, this quote, it really nails a huge problem. So many of us start out thinking like novelists, probably because, we all grew up reading books. But film? Film is not prose. It's a completely different language.
Look, in a novel, you've got all the space in the world, pages and pages, to get inside a character's head. But in a movie, you have to paint that exact same world using light and shadow. It's a massive shift in how you think. You have to go from explaining everything to revealing things piece by piece.
So let's really get into this habit. It's not about being a bad writer, not at all. It's just a tendency we all have to over-explain. And to write for the screen, we've got to unlearn it.
This right here, this is the whole thing. Your job isn't to tell us what a character is feeling. Nope, it's to show us, with just a look, a small gesture, maybe even a shadow moving across the wall. You have to let the camera become your narrator.
And think about the real cost of overwriting. Every single line of dialogue that isn't absolutely necessary makes the audience tune out of the visuals. They stop watching and just start listening. And at that point, you're not really making a movie anymore. You're basically making a radio play. Okay, so how do we actually fix this? Well, it all starts with one really big, absolutely crucial move. You have to fire your inner narrator.
This is the mantra. You gotta tattoo this on your brain. Cinematic writing is not literary writing. They serve two totally different masters. One serves the reader's imagination, but the other has to serve the viewer's eye.
And trust me, the stakes couldn't be higher. The emotion, the feeling has to come first, always. If your audience can figure out the message before they feel the story deep in their gut, you've lost them. It's over. The experience has to be felt before it can ever be understood.
All right, enough with the why. Let's get into the how. Here are 3 very practical, concrete tools you can start using like today to write in a much more visual way.
Okay, tool number 1. This is about putting on a totally different hat. You need to stop thinking like a writer who describes things and start thinking like a director who is holding a camera.
For every single scene you write, you need to ask these questions. So for example, don't write, "Emma was lonely." No. Instead, show her at a dinner table setting 2 plates, and then the camera just sits on that empty chair across from her. That one image tells us everything we need to know, no words required.
Next up, tool number 2. This one is a serious secret weapon, and so many people forget about it. I'm talking about sound. Great sound design isn't just some background noise. It's a whole other layer of your story.
See, loneliness isn't something a character says. It's the sound of a single fork hitting a plate in an empty dining room. It's that low hum from the refrigerator when nobody else is home to talk. It's the silence itself that speaks louder than any line of dialogue ever could.
And tool number 3. Think of this as your secret shortcut, straight to the audience's emotions. Your characters shouldn't have to stand there and explain their whole backstory. Instead, you can give them an object that carries all of that emotional weight for them.
Just think about these: a pocket Bible with a dent from a bullet, a wedding ring, but it's not on a finger, it's worn on a chain around someone's neck, a crumpled up church bulletin tucked away in a soldier's backpack. Each one tells a huge story with no exposition at all. These aren't just props. They're entire novels packed into a single tiny object.
Okay, this is where the rubber meets the road. Let's put it all together. We're going to look at a rewrite, a real before and after. And the difference is, well, you'll see. It's pretty staggering.
So the before version, it's fine, but it's all confession. It's just words explaining feelings. Now, look at the after. The mother walks in. She kneels, which is a really vulnerable action. She puts down an old photo. She just waits. And then the daughter reaches out and takes her hand. Silence. No words needed. The actions, the choices, they do all the heavy lifting. That is cinema.
And that brings us to this fundamental truth. You learn who people really are by what they do when it matters most, not by what they say about themselves. Action is character, period.
Okay, so you've got the toolkit. Now let's go a little deeper. We're moving past just the techniques and into the real art form, the philosophy behind all of this.
Now here's a next-level idea for you, something that really separates the pros. Don't just show the audience what's happening. Play with their perception. You can actually lead them to believe one thing, only to pull the rug out from under them later, which makes the final reveal so much more powerful.
It's a technique, and it's called delayed recognition. Here's how it works. You show us something, like a man putting a Bible in his drawer, but you don't give us the context. It seems totally minor. But way later in the story, when we find out that that same Bible stopped a bullet meant for him, suddenly that first small moment becomes huge. The audience has to connect the dots themselves, which makes them feel like a detective who just solved the case.
All right, we've talked about the why, we've talked about the how, so now it's over to you. I'm giving you a final challenge to take everything we've covered and put it to work on your own stuff.
Here is your final checklist for making your dialogue truly cinematic. First, read every line out loud. Does it sound like a real person would say it? Step 2, cut anything that the action on screen already makes obvious. 3, rewrite anything that sounds like a cheesy slogan or, a church tweet. And finally, the ultimate test. Ask yourself if the core emotion of the scene works for everyone, even someone who doesn't share the character's beliefs. If the answer is yes, you found the scene's truth.
So after all this, it really just comes down to this one question. Stop thinking like a novelist. Pick up the camera in your mind, fire that inner narrator, and just trust the image. The most powerful stories aren't told, they're seen. So, what story will your camera tell?